Hey everyone, so today we're going to be talking about spirit, especially at the uni level, and I think a great place to start is just defining what spirit is, and we can use the WFDF preamble to show that. WFDF says that there should be a responsibility for fair play, mutual respect between both teams, and nobody should ever detract from the basic joy of playing. There should be no win-at-all-cost behaviour, there should be no disrespecting the opposition, you should basically just play to the rules, be fair-minded and truthful. So I've been part of a uni team who has a reputation for not having great spirit, and I don't feel that reputation is necessarily earned. Sometimes we get marked down maybe because we're not the nice team, but we are competitive, we play intensely, and we have been successful, but that doesn't mean we play with bad spirit. Of course, there's always some things to work on, but however, sometimes at the uni level, I think we misinterpret being nice and being spirited. They're not the same thing, though they're not necessarily mutually exclusive.
Well, bat through it, and it was Sussex.
Yeah, I think as a team you just sort of go, yeah, it's a violation, retake it.
If you're being nice.
Yeah.
My uni team's reputation also sort of stuck with us throughout the years, even though it should really recycle with the sort of short playing time that people are at uni, but we somehow managed to just stick it. So recently I went down to mixed indoor nationals where my uni team actually bottomed out spirit with a spirit score of 8.8, and that was even though opposition had told us that we played with good spirit. So maybe the way that we mark spirit scores at the moment and how we reflect on games afterwards isn't how WFDF intended us to originally. I was actually at mixed indoor nationals in a coaching role, and from the sidelines the rules knowledge at uni level isn't great at the moment. And I actually feel like it's been like that for a while. The rules on bricking and fouling specifically aren't great. And during discussions, often no one knew what sort of happened or what happens next after a foul and where the dish should go. Firstly, that meant that we weren't necessarily even following the rules, but that also led to games being very stop-starty, and that means that players generally aren't happy how the game has gone just because they feel like they haven't played a lot of Ultimate and they've spent most of the game in discussions. So with that in mind, Rule 1.7.1 says that we must teach new players rules and teach them about spirit. However, if uni teams don't understand the rules or maybe don't apply them correctly, how can we even achieve that rule? And immediately after that, Rule 1.7.2 tells us to discipline poorly spirited players. When was the last time anybody left out one of their best players who's poorly spirited? Or how are we disciplining those players then? Are we even telling them? And if we are we taking them out of games and actively teaching them how to improve their spirit? And if we're not doing that, why not? If your uni team physically needs that player to send a team to a tournament so others can learn and develop from that experience, it might be okay, but you have to keep in mind that you are sacrificing the spirit of the game to go to that tournament, and spirit is meant to be the most highest held concept in the sport. But I think what we can do as coaches, increase education and understanding of spirit, make sure it's enforced correctly. This is especially important as a lot of people start at uni, so we sort of need to build from the ground up. So that was a lot about uni ultimate, so now moving on to some issues in club ultimate. I think the biggest issue right now in club play stems from the fact that there are a lot of uni players playing with experienced players. This can lead to disparity within a team in what they call in certain situations because of their differing experience levels. It also leads to differences in what players expect from a game, whether that is how much contact can be taken on or anything else. I would encourage teams with a large student population to have discussions about spirit off the field to make sure that they're on the same wavelength when it comes to being on the field. This would just lead to games being more enjoyable and they would run much smoother, and as a byproduct you'll find that other teams are having more fun playing against you, and then you'll get better spirit scores. You want to be the team that all the other teams want to play against. I see that as a goal for myself and any other team that I play on. Overall, if we can't agree within teams and if we don't understand and apply spirit correctly, then the spirit of the game falls down as a rules system. I'm not pro referees, but I do feel that if we put a little bit more emphasis on spirit as teams, especially when we have developing players, that would just be very valuable for us as a community. After all, spirit is a core concept of the game, so we could put a little bit of time into developing our spirit as well as our skills to become better players. So then we come to spirit circles. They're not used everywhere in the world. I went to a tournament in the US where they weren't utilised at all, but I think they are a great idea and they're utilised widely in Europe. But I feel in the UK at the moment we're not utilising spirit circles to their full effect. For me, a spirit circle is somewhere where we can discuss any issues or outline where the other team can improve, maybe give them some pointers in their game if they're a developing team. But at the moment, we just sort of say what happened, sort of like, the game was well spirited, we went up a couple of breaks and you came back at us, but we connected on a couple more long shots and that won the game for us. Sound familiar? We don't really give any pointers, we don't tell them how the other team can improve, we don't always even comment on spirit at all. I've actually been part of a really terribly spirited game where when we came together, the other captain said he had no issues with us on the field, then gave us a 5. I think that just highlights that at the moment we could use those spirit circles a bit more effectively and maybe change the way that we're utilizing them at the minute. So at the moment, I don't think we have a huge problem with spirit, but I do think that if we prioritize it a little higher as players and as teams, it will serve us really well as a community. I also think that what would help us with that is having more discussions about spirit and reading rules more often. So having said those two things, I do want this to sort of prompt discussion, maybe put some comments down. If you have any questions, maybe some other people will answer them.
So that's all from us on Spirit today. If you want to have an input on what videos we're putting out in the future, just leave a comment below or send us a message.